I remember it well. I was kind of complaining about what was happening, going on in life and school, and a wise old boss kind of looked me in the eye and smiled. Stan, stop it. Just stop complaining. Because, Stan, you know what happens when you complain? When you complain to other people? Most of the people don't care, and the rest are glad. You've probably heard that before, but that was the first time I heard it, and it's kind of hard to stick with it, but I think he's probably true. Well, today I'd like to take a few minutes to pass on some wisdom that I kind of took from somebody else, but it's helpful just as a reminder that we're not to be, particularly as Jesus entrepreneurs, we are not to be whiners, we are to be winners. We are not to be complainers. We are called to be more than conquerors. And heaven forbid, we are never, ever victims. I'd like to talk a little bit about that, have some fun on this Tuesday evening as we approach what do we do and what should we learn and why should we stop complaining. I'm Stan Houston, and this is the Jesus Entrepreneur. Greetings and welcome back. Again, my name is Stan Houston, and the program is entitled The Jesus Entrepreneur, brought to you by the Christian Entrepreneur Network. And we call the the experience, The Jesus Entrepreneur. We're here to help you figure out how you can better build a life that makes a difference, building a business that is successful, and build a brand that may even reach the world with good news and good things. Hopefully we can help make that happen in our life and in your life, and hopefully we can do it together as we network together. Well, today I'd like to take some time to tell you, first of all, why I wasn't here on Friday. I was expecting to be on the air Friday for the weekend, but you know what happened. All of a sudden, out of the blue, blindsided, big business and life crisis, bang! And it threw me. And I had to spend all of my time away from the microphone and trying to recover and make that happen and make things take over and go okay. In the words of St. Paul, forgetting what is behind, we press on. So it was quite a surprise. I'm sure you've had that experience. It reminds me, some years ago, I was working with a very good guy, very sharp, very successful, tough, really tough, tough love kind of guy, Christian guy, but tough love Christian guy. And one time I came into his office and I said, well, I've got a surprise for you. And he looked up and smiled and said, Stan, let me tell you something, okay? All of my team members and all of my employees can quote me on this. The boss only likes pleasant surprises. He said, Stan, I only want pleasant surprises. And I paused and smiled and said, well, good luck with that. Yeah, I would like only pleasant surprises too, and of course he would too. But sometimes life does not quite give us exactly what we want. As sometimes another friend said, sometimes life gives us what we got. And there we are. But here's the deal. What I'd like to do today is I came across something that I think that is important, you know. In effect, my friend Joe Ty, along with his friend Joe Dent, have put together a book. And particularly, you know, we're in kind of that celebration of helping people do one of the good things in life. And how do we honor those who are in the nursing healthcare profession? And Joe has put together 20 ways that complaining diminishes your life. 20 ways that complaining diminishes your life. And I got a hold of this, and so this is the shout out and the full attribution to Joe Ty. hey, go check his stuff out. Valuescoach.com, valuescoach.com. He's a good guy, one of the good guys. Okay, can I just take a few minutes on this Tuesday evening, Wednesday morning to just kind of go through and just think about some of these things now. 20 ways that complaining diminishes your life. Number 1, complaining is malignant and contagious and can pollute the emotional climate of an entire workplace. Now, you all know that's true, right? Complaining is malignant and contagious. Yeah, it's like a cancer, and it can pollute the entire emotional climate of the entire workplace. Number 2, complaining is depressing. Yeah, think about that. Of course. Complaining is an expression of ingratitude. Number 4, complaining is an excuse for laziness, avoidance, and procrastination. Wow. Tell us how you really feel, Joe. Complaining is an excuse for the cowardice of inaction when courageous action is needed. Yeah. One of my friends has said, show me a complainer and I'll show you a coward. Tough stuff. Here we go again. Complaining is resistance that prevents you from taking effective action to deal with the problems you are complaining about. Number 7, complaining keeps you stuck in the dramas of the past. Oh, is that so? That's why my favorite entrepreneur, my favorite Christian entrepreneur, was one of the original Christian entrepreneurs. His name is St. Paul, and life was not easy for the man. If any of you saw that recent film, Paul, an apostle of Christ, you know what a tough life he had. And yet he used the word joy all the time. That's right. And in the favorite line that I use all the time, forgetting what is behind. Forgetting what is behind. I press toward the mark of the high calling. What do you need to forget about? What do you need to press forward? And what is your high calling? 3 great questions, all in one quote. All right? And stuck in the dramas of the past. I have a leadership guy who says, in this business, I don't want any drama. And you know what he means by that. Number 8, complaining is an outward projection of inner negative self-talk. Yeah. Complaining is an energy suck. Oh, I love the use of words that Joe has. Complaining is an energy suck that enervates you and everyone around you. Number 10, complaining is an insidious form of gossip. Number 11, complaining is an insidious form of bullying. Now, just let that sit on your head for a while. Complaining is an insidious form of bullying. You know, I think he's right. Number 12, complaining is finger-pointing instead of acting responsibly. Number 13, complaining makes you boring. Complaining makes you boring to others as it causes you to bore even yourself. Remember that line when I was given to me? Said, hey, Stan, whenever you complain, most people don't care and the rest are glad. You're boring. Complainers and whiners are boring. Complaining is holding on to a grudge. Yeah. Complaining is parenting malpractice. By your example, you are teaching kids to be whiners instead of achievers. Whiners instead of achievers. Complaining crowds out compassion. Number 17. Complaining fosters pessimism. It does indeed. Now, the research has shown that the people who succeed at entrepreneurship tend to be very optimistic, sometimes maybe even too optimistic. Their optimism sometimes, obviously, it's happened to me and it's happened to you, our optimism far exceeds our reality, and that can get us in trouble. But optimism is vital for an entrepreneurial lifestyle. Complaining crowds out compassion. Complaining fosters pessimism. Okay, complaining is the ultimate waste of time. Number 19, complaining takes years off your life, both metaphorically, because time wasted on complaining isn't really living, and literally because toxic emotional negativity is harmful to your physical as well as emotional health. And I would add, to your spiritual well-being. We are called not to be victims. Isn't it interesting that with all the things that happened to Jesus, he never viewed himself as the victim. They didn't take his life, he gave it up. All right. Number 20. Complaining is taking residence in the valley of the shadow of depression instead of walking through it. There's a part of me that wants to go through this again, hear it again, and you know what? That's exactly what you should do. You should play this program 3 times. You should have your colleagues and maybe some of your clients and customers listen to this. And then you need to talk about it. Joe talks about the power of the pickle pledge, which is not to be a pickle. You get the point. You get the picture. The world of the sour puss. And all of us right now, as I'm going through this, somebody is coming to mind in your life, your business, or your experience. And I just simply say, do you want to be like them? Well, what are you doing to not be? What are you doing to not be? Hey, I'm Stan Houston. You can reach me. I can probably help you out. I do a lot of business and performance coaching. By the way, I just helped a gentleman for a worldwide company do a wonderful, I think it was wonderful. He wrote the script. I just said it. A wonderful video to explain their unique business to the world. And it's far better than a dead tree brochure. It is vital. It is alive. It is well written. And when you see it on the video, you see it on YouTube, you see it on the website, you know what those people do, and you know how they claim to be different. Just got that done about 2 hours ago. It was great. And perhaps you'll give me permission to tell you about it sometime. But we can help you. RadioEdge77@gmail.com. RadioEdge77@gmail.com. You'll find that we got all kinds of things coming online to help you be strong in the broken places. Figure out ways to market and sell yourself. We're going to help you sell like Jesus. That's right. We're going to help you sell like Jesus. And he was really good at that. You'll be shocked by some of the things you learn and maybe surprised, pleasantly surprised. Okay, who do you know that is like my mother-in-law? That's right. Who do you know who's like my mother-in-law? Well, I'll tell you about my mother-in-law, and then you can decide. Maybe the person like my mother-in-law is you, and that would be great. I'm Stan Houston. The Christian Entrepreneur Network. This is the Jesus Entrepreneur. We are radio truly on the edge.
'Tis a gift to be simple. 'Tis a gift to be free. 'Tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just 'twill be in the valley of love and delight.
Indeed, we all have our history and we all have our past. A number of things happen. I oftentimes point out that a lot of my life was formed back in 1919. That's right. Now, I'm not that old, but what happened in 1919 is my father's father was killed in a terrible hunting accident. And so when my father was born, his father was already dead. And so he grew up without a father. Did that affect him? Sure did. Did that affect me? Sure did. Has it affected how I have been a father to my own children? Indeed it did. As I say, though, 3 times going, break the cycle. And I'm trying to do that. But he had a lot of things that happened in his life. And he oftentimes said, expect the worst and then you'll be pleasantly surprised. And sometimes I say my dear mother, as loving as she was, there was a time when I grew up, I used to call her a professional worrier. And the two of them, though they were wonderful, loving people and fine Christian people, there was a part of them that brought that into our family and certainly into the lives we live and how we express it now. But then I met a woman named Karen, and then I met Marion Johnson. And I'll tell you this, that's my mother-in-law. And obviously I knew her for many, many years, and she was one of the most positive persons I have ever met in my life. I can't really believe that in the 50 years I must have known her that she ever really complained. And she had a lot to complain about, but she just would not. Karen reminds me that she used to hate it. She's a teenager there, and her mother would open up and come up to her bedroom and say, "Rejoice, this is the day that the Lord has made." She said, "Oh, I got tired of that." But as we got older, we began to appreciate more and more what she was about, because it was her ability to care for and be compassionate to others, to treat every person she met as the most important person in the world. I remember one time she answered the phone and she went on for about 10 minutes, and it was right in the middle of a big dinner time, and I said, "Well, who was that?" And she said, "Oh, it was a wrong number, but they seemed like they needed some help, so I talked to them for a while." That's who she was. And it is reflected in her dear daughter, who tries to deal with me and all that I can be. And certainly, I can say that many, many, many people are better off because of Marion Johnson, the woman who never complained. In fact, she was fully alive until her 90s, until the very end. She did well. She made Jesus smile. And she's now enjoying freedom forever. Thank you for listening to my story. I have a few more words just to thank you, and we'll be right back. Well, again, my thanks today to Joe Ty and his colleague Bob Dent, building a culture of ownership in healthcare. Check it out. You can even go to World Wide Web, nursingknowledge.org/books, STT/books. Okay, but you can get there. And they'll be happy to tell you more about that wonderful book. And perhaps pick up that PDF. I have it right here. 20 Ways That Complaining Diminishes Your Life. I'd love to hear your response to this. Once again, easy enough to remember. We are radioedge77@gmail.com, radioedge77@gmail.com. Well, it's good to be back on the air. It's good to be in touch with you. And hopefully nothing will smash me off the line tomorrow. And we'll be back with more thoughts for better living from the Christian entrepreneur, where we can certainly live and hopefully live in such a way that we make the master entrepreneur smile. May Jesus smile. Again, all the best and blessings. Take care. Bye for now.